we want to be stoic. We want to be strong. And we don't want to think about comfort. That seems flimsy. That seems selfish. But comfort in its best sense is right down at the core of who we are as human beings. When we feel a degree of comfort, we can function more effectively, whether it's with our business hat on or our caregiving hat or whatever it may be. How often have you thought about what it is in any given day that just makes you feel more comfortable? Go to your five senses. What is it that you like to taste? What feels good against your skin? What fragrances do you like, or do you do best with an absence of fragrance? What sounds are good to you, whether it's music or the sounds of nature or a voice that means so much to you? You see where we're going with this? Mm-hmm. The things that of comfort that are important to us in normal life, everyday life, then when we hit these times, just like you described that, Valda, where life is just thrown up against the wall, mm-hmm. these comforts actually help to sustain us. And if you don't believe that, try sometime walking into, let's say, the waiting room of a hospital intensive care unit where your friend is waiting to hear about her loved one. And you, as a good friend, walk in and you bring this gorgeous, fancy chai tea that you bought for her. And then you look up and realize, oh, she likes black coffee. Yes, you brought something wonderful, but it may not have been comforting. Mm-hmm. So it's important for ourselves and the people around us to pay attention, to know what it is in the practical parts of day-to-day life that brings us some comfort. And then we know how to take care of ourselves and others when those measures beyond just the casserole are needed. We can specialize. We can be more effective. We can be more kind. And actually, we can help someone to get a firmer footing and to make things work better, even in a chaotic time. Right alongside that, in this recipe, comes the element of control. If there's anything that sort of goes out the window when a crisis happens, it's the feeling that we can control anything, but definitely whatever that situation involves, whether it's health or safety or finances or home or relationship. One of the things that's important for us to know about ourselves and then about people that with whom we're interacting, what are the places in life where it's most important for them to feel a sense of control? Now, I'll give a lighthearted example. Back in the early stages of the pandemic, at least in many places on social media, you saw the hashtag COVID hair, because we couldn't get to those people who could help us control our hair, whether it was the cut or the color or the shape or whatever. And as a way to kind of cope with this overwhelming world health challenge, we kind of focused in on that. But we were worried we couldn't control the way we suddenly looked on all of these virtual meetings and Zooming and Skyping and on and on and on. Well, if you take that out to look at how can we, in any given day, control the things that are important to us, our time, our tasks to be done, our treasures, whether those are financial, physical, emotional, relational treasures, how we take care of life. And for each of us, there are different things that are important. Is it making sure that I pay my bills on time? Is it making sure that I show up for an appointment on time or that I have that work prepared? Is it making sure that my home is tidy? You can go right down through the list of things that are more or less important for each of us to control. But when we have to go back to our recipe example, identified what part of that is most important for us to put into that hearty stew of life, then we have a better idea of how to take care of ourselves, what to focus on, and likewise, if we are a business person, how to do that for our clients or our colleagues in the business world. Now that leads us right into the third C in the stew, and that is community. And community may be a physical community in which you dwell, as far as a neighborhood or a village or a city. It may be your community of family. It may be your work community. It may be a professional group that's very important to you. For some people, it's a community that focuses on beliefs of faith or culture or philanthropy or giving to the world. But we all find ourselves in different combinations and mixes of community. On any given day, we can find sort of a coming and going, kind of like we do with that spice in the stew, where we have a little more of this or a little less of that. And we just flow in and out of it. But when we come to a time like the crisis that the world is facing now, some communities have a strongly important part in our lives, or we with them, and some back off a little bit for the time being. It doesn't mean that they're gone forever. One of the things that crisis does is it can cause us to feel like the current situation is permanent. And there may be some parts of it that will remain permanent. But be very careful that we don't consider every bit of it as totally unending. And this is where community helps, because people give us perspective. So it's important for us to know about ourselves, who's important and when. And that leads us to that final C of connection. What are the things in life that are so important to me, to where I feel connected to something that's bigger than I am, has more impact than I do, and it's going to last longer than I do. And when I find my place there and I'm a part of that, it helps me to stay steady when times are shaky.
Oh, wow. Well, amazingly, anytime things are going beautifully, the time flies by. I want to hear about your social media connections so that people want to follow up with you, they'll be able to do it.
Thank you. I find myself periodically on LinkedIn, and it is the LinkedIn website URL / and my name, Becky Sansbury. No dots, no anything else, just Becky Sansbury. I am on Facebook. I have a personal page. People may or may not be particularly interested in that because I just keep it about everyday stuff. And then there is an After the Shock page on Facebook, which this will give me a good reminder to keep it up to date. And then on Twitter. Now, the unique thing about Twitter is that it is After the Shock, but there's no E in after. It's AFTR, The Shock. The full name just wasn't available.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Rochelle, take us out.
Wonderful. Becky, thank you so much. I've learned so much, and I have to agree the Hugs and Casseroles was the one that definitely stayed with me beyond the Hugs and Casseroles. So thank you very, very much for being our guest today. Today, this is your recipe for resilience with Becky Sansbury. I'm Rochelle Rice.
And I'm Valda Ford.
And we are Elevate, practical content that inspires, committed to elevating the next generation of women in leadership. Thank you very much.